Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this initiative called as Saturdays for Sustainability Learning. Today, as usual, with the goal to understand and discuss sustainability, to to get a holistic understanding of sustainability. So that is something that we want to achieve in the next 1 hour. So why behind this initiative or why behind this session? I'll quickly share why for reasons for you also. So this is nothing but a mastermind group where we want to build a peer-to-peer mentoring group where members can help each other to solve problems or understand concepts in a better way or in a holistic way, I could say, and to get input and advice from other group members. And so that is something that we would like to be in this group. So these are the four outcomes that you can expect by participating: learning new concept, networking with fellow professionals, continuous learning about, let's say, different opportunities of, let's say, knowledge or courses, right? And also some career opportunities. And last, which is thought leadership. So how we can shape the collective understanding of sustainability, sustainable development for India. So that is something that a basic thing about this initiative. So there are two things I feel which are most important for this initiative, which are we all know about data, information, knowledge, wisdom. This is a pyramid. In today's time, we all can say that we have more data, more information that we can possibly consume. But what we lack is the application of it, the knowledge, the wisdom part. And that is something we can gain only with experience. So with this group, we would like to foster open collaboration, open discussion, and with which we can get experience of the other person who is from different educational, geographical, socio-economic background, and that's how we can enrich our understanding as well. And second thing, which is discussion, question and answer, asking the right questions, or I would say asking as many questions as possible. This is the best way to learn. So this is a request for all. You can express your views or you can ask questions. Feel free to jump in wherever you can. Okay. All right. So if you have joined this session, so I hope you have already registered. If you have registered once, no need to register again. But the registration is just to make sure that we all get continuity, we all get the emails or calendar invite and WhatsApp group link. And I'm very particular about not sending too many messages or too many emails. So don't worry about it. If you want to register, please do so. And once registration is done, that's enough. No need to register again. All right. And if you want to support, you can become a community member, YouTube community, or you can contribute whatever way you can if you want to. That's not a compulsory part. All right. You can connect with me for that later as well. All right. So let's discuss about today's topic, which was we all know that currently the COP29 is currently happening as we speak during these dates. So today's topic is the same, that is United Nations Climate Change Conference, Baku, Azerbaijan, so which is happening in November 2024 from 11 to 22nd of November 2024. So with this brief introduction, so I would just quickly share what are the basic ideas about COP if you are new. So it's just basics of COP. I'll quickly share within next 5 minutes so that we all can discuss further, and then we can come back to this year's COP29. What are the details? What is happening over there? Okay. All right. So I'll just quickly share one another presentation with you so that we can discuss about COP. And I'm just sharing my screen now. Yeah. Can you please confirm whether you can see COP is written on the screen, COP? Can anybody confirm, please?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Thanks a lot. So quickly, I'll share some basic details. If you have a question, what is COP? So I'll just quickly share within the next 5 minutes. Okay, so COP, which is nothing but Conference of Parties, and I've always prefer understanding why for something, and then some genuine resources. So we will go in that sequence. So what is Conference of Parties and why behind it? So uh, COP, it is a supreme decision making body of the convention. So if you want to know about this convention, so what decision making that it takes, so it's review the implementation of the convention and any other legal instrument that of the COP adopts, like previous COP, like we had Paris Agreement, right? So we can also review that. Take decisions necessary to promote the effective implementation of the convention, including institutional and administrative arrangements. So what we can do to implement it, effectively implement it. And third is review the national communications and emission inventories submitted by parties. And when we are saying parties here, so party is a nation, we can say. And it is represented by parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, also called as UNFCCC, which was established in the early 1990s. And lakhs of people across all the entire countries, we would say more than 190 countries visit to the COP every year to deliberate on these different issues, different topics. And if you want to know more about history, so first COP meeting was held in Berlin, Germany in March 1995. So that was the COP 1, and today is the COP 29. So 29th year, and each year it happens in Paris, all countries, and the latest COP, which was the most successful, we can call, like in 2015, we had a Paris agreement. We all know about it. So all countries agreed there to work together to limit the global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius and aim for 1.5 degrees to adapt to the impacts of changing climate and to make money available to deliver these aims. So having adopted this goal, or we also know that sustainable development goals or this 1.5 degrees uh, temperature rise, we want to limit it. So how do we do it? So that is one of the question, and the next cops were trying to find out the ways to do that, but we are not that much successful in that. And also they agreed in the Paris that every 5 years they would come back with an updated plan that would reflect their highest possible ambition at that time. So every 5 years they will share what is update from them and how they will go further ahead. So last year COP28 happened in UAE, and in 2024 this is COP29, which is happening in Baku, which is capital of Azerbaijan. So this is basic details of what exactly is a COP. I'll stop here. If anybody want to share anything regarding COP, so you can do so at this point of time. Or yeah, so first I would get a response from you. If you wanted to share anything related to COP, you can. Or should we move ahead? Just let me know. Should we
We
move
can
ahead then?
move ahead. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So with this basic understanding of COP and what they do, so let's quickly, I'll share some of the resources. Okay, I already shared these resources in WhatsApp group, but what I always prefer is having first-hand information. So that's what I always prefer. We should always seek the first-hand resource which is authentic. So let's say you can directly go to UNFCCC, United Nations Climate Change, and there you can get all the basic details. Or second option is every year, which is the hosting country. So let's say this year it's Azerbaijan. So they every year they design their own website for the, let's say, facilitation of all these COP meetings. So second option is you can directly go to the COP29 Azerbaijan. So this is the website where you can get all the latest updates and what is happening. So these are the most reliable resources I would recommend. And later on, if you want more information, then you can go for the other resources or the second-hand information, which people have written about their views and all. So this was one of the resource I could research on internet. You will find many other resources, but I found this very important, very crisp in sharing what happened till this time and what is happening in COP29. So I'll just quickly share some of the important points from this article. And please do let me know if anybody would like to comment or add your views. So you're most welcome. You can just stop me over there and we can discuss it further. Okay. All right. So this is one article that we are reading. So COP29, the 29th UN Annual Conference on Climate Change, takes place in Baku, Azerbaijan from 11th to 22nd November 2024. Every conference is an important opportunity for international collaboration on climate change. COP29 will have a particular focus on how to make finance available to developing countries for climate action. So it's every year there is one theme, right? So for this year, the theme is climate finance. So how do we make the finance available for developing countries for climate action? So this is the agenda or focus of this year's COP. COP29 is already contentious because Azerbaijan's economy is highly dependent on fossil fuels, the main cause of climate change. That means that Azerbaijan's government, which will preside over the summit, has a strong incentive to avoid rapid multilateral progress toward phasing out fossil fuels. And this was the criticism last year also when UAE was the hosting country. So its economy is also fossil fuel based. So this was in debate for last year as well. It's urgent that progress is made at COP29. Climate action lags far behind both what has been promised by countries and what scientists agree is needed. The impacts of climate change are also rapidly escalating, while backlash against government policies to reduce fossil fuel use is being seen in many places around the world. So what is a COP? So we have already seen, so it's annual event that brings together governments which have signed up to the environmental action under the United Nations. Governments or parties attend the climate change COP if they are part of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So short form is UNFCCC, or the International Environmental Treaties, the Kyoto Protocol of 1997 or the Paris Agreement of 2015. So if any country, if signed to any one of these agreement, so they can participate. They are called as a parties, so they can attend this COP. World leaders, ministers, and negotiators convene at the COP to negotiate and rubber stamp plans to jointly address climate change and its impact. Civil society, businesses, international organizations, and the media normally observe the proceedings to bring transparency, accountability, and wider perspective to the process. Now let's get back to the maybe the main reason or the main activity for let's say mitigating or the solution, collective solutions, collective goal that we all have. So Paris Agreement has decided that we will pursue for limiting the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So let's see what happened, what is status of that. COP29, that is the last year, the 2023 climate conference held in Dubai was the first of three consecutive COP summits intended to reset global climate action, which the UN calls the roadmap to mission 1.5 degrees Celsius. The ambition to keep global temperatures from rising more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. To support continuity and progress across the three COPs, the UAE, the last year COP28, Azerbaijan COP29 this year, and Brazil COP30 next year have formed a COP presidential trioca or a group of three. So trioca is nothing but it's we can say that a group of three which are coordinating for the purpose. So that is trioca. In 2023, the first global stocktake of international action to address climate change indicated that the world was far off track for targets set by Paris Agreement. The UAE Consensus Agreement, which formed the main output of COP28, are set out how parties should respond. So I'll just quickly share this document with you also. So every year what happened, after the COP, they have the consensus agreement document, which is presented with all. I'll just quickly share that with you. Give me just 1 minute. Yeah, so I'll just share that. Yeah, I hope you can see on the screen. So this is Dubai 2023 COP28 UAE. So this is a COP28 UAE consensus document. 49 pages, a lot of pictures, and what was discussed. So it's nothing but what happened as per the UAE, I can say. But you can see what happened, what was success, and what will happen in the next COP. So that is what is listed over here. Very crisp. If we read it, we will get better understanding. So yeah, so as you can see here, also they are mentioning this three years. So 28, 29, and 30. And the journey continues. The challenges ahead require sustained commitment. Whatever the observations and whatever the outcome from this COP28, so that are taken further for the next year's COP. So I'll share this document with you also. COP29, the second of the three COPs, and I hope we are back on the article. And yeah, you can see that, yes. COP29, the second of three COPs, is intended to get the finance in place to enable this response. And COP30, to be held in Brazil in 2025, will then try to agree how a new round of nationally determined climate plans or contributions to global climate efforts should be put into action. So in 2015 Paris Agreement, we had NDCs, nationally determined contributions for each nation, and they will prepare that. And now we are talking about some new quantified goal, collective goal, and that is there in the article also. We will see that. Yeah, so key issues at COP29: finance, money on the table, and the new collective quantified goals. So this is NCQG, which is in discussion for this year. COP29 has a remit to secure funding for a course correction. So I would rephrase this sentence as, how do we get the money for course correction on global climate action? So that is something that we have to get some clarity from this COP. Countries' revised climate plans, that is NDCs, are due in February 2025, so early next year, for developing countries to deliver new ambitious NDCs, nationally determined contributions. However, COP29 must first make clear what finance will be available to help them. Climate finance is one of the thorniest issues in the negotiations. The previous climate finance goal, which was $100 billion per year from developed to developing countries between 2020 to 2025, was symbolic, being a fraction of the sum actually needed, and contentious. Developed countries did not meet the target until 2022, and then only with accusations of double counting. So this was a big issue, and even today it is, because what was I guess agreed in the year 2009, climate finance, which, let's say, developing countries or least developed countries need support of developed countries for the climate action, and it was agreed that $100 billion per year would be given to, let's say, developing countries during this period. But unfortunately, that that is not happened, what we can see. So new collective quantified goal, NCQGs, to be agreed at COP29. So this is what is in focus for this year. Will need to reflect developing countries' needs and priorities. Estimates vary, but it is accepted that the scale will be trillions, not billions. To bridge this enormous gap, private finance will need to be mobilized and broader reforms made to global financial architecture. Issues such as subsidies, fossil fuel profits, and solidarity levies will also need to be open on the table. So what are the different options that we need to explore? Little progress has been made in the run-up to COP29. Parties disagree on who should pay, how much should be paid, what forms the funding should take, whether loans or grants, and how the fund should be accessed. So what we are seeing is, let's say, if developed countries have the necessary technologies or necessary funding, so they should support the developing countries instead of we are making the same mistake or we are just following their own path. It should be better if they can support the developing countries, which will be useful for all the world, we can say. So it's not just about developing countries, but it's a uh, collective uh, problem that we have as a climate change. So it's not just for developing countries or just development. So how do we support that? And one of the contention is about giving loans, because we have seen in past few decades, I would say, a large chunk of resources of the least developed countries or developing countries has been taken over by the developed countries by in the form of loans. And when they cannot pay the loan, it becomes a same, let's say, colonization in a new form. So it's very debatable how do we ensure that it's just and we are moving towards the sustainable development. Also up for debate is how funds should be directed towards mitigating the impacts of climate change, that is, preventing climate change becoming worse, adapting to its effects, or supporting countries to manage loss and damage in the case climate impact that have already happened and cannot be avoided. In discussion of NCQG to date, developed countries have consistently called for higher income developing countries such as China and India to contribute. So what developed countries have the view that India or China, which are not now in developing countries, they are fairly developed and they should contribute more toward this fund, while the India, China, or similar countries have concern that developed countries who are the contributors of this climate change, so they should contribute their fair share. Such countries have pushed back forcefully against this. For a new goal to be agreed, such divisions will need to be resolved. So this is something which is important for this COP. Yeah, so anybody would like to add anything? I'll just stop for a while. If anybody would like to add anything or any question, any comment, or anything that you have read, if you want to add, you can, or we'll just move ahead. All right, so let's just see what is there. Enhanced transparency. COP acts as showcases for international agreement, but many processes rumble on behind the scenes. COP 29 will be an important moment for transparency under the Paris Agreement, as the parties' first biennial enhanced transparency report (BTRs) are due in December 2024. So just next month, we can say. BTRs are an important tool in Paris Agreement, requiring countries to provide a snapshot of their progress in cutting emissions, setting climate policies, providing resources for national and international climate action. So it's nothing but the progress report and what is the status happening for each country. So after every 2 years, they have to share it. BTRs are meant to build the evidence base for strong NDCs. Again, I'll say this is national determined contributions, build trust and promote ambitious climate action. They are also meant to help developing countries showcase achievements and attract climate finance. So we can say that it's just the monitoring mechanism for the countries and also to show what are the best practices, what are the achievements that they have, which they can share with others. Others can learn from it. So a technology transfer or maybe knowledge transfer can happen there. Yeah, and COP 29 presidency has launched the Baku Global Climate Transparency Platform. So let's see how is it. To engage participation and support countries in finalizing their BTRs, the platform is meant to provide safe space for collaboration between government, NGO, and private sector stakeholders. So this is the link for that. COP 29 presidency launches transparency platform to support. Okay. All right. So this is article. Yeah. So next is about fixing carbon market under Article 6. Carbon trading in principle could raise climate finance and thereby enable climate action. Yet getting carbon markets up and running has been difficult. After nearly a decade of talks, COP29 could be the moment at which carbon markets finally get the go ahead. So I'm not very sure how carbon market will get finalized in this year, but yeah. In carbon markets, buyer countries can purchase others' emission cuts as carbon credits and put these credits toward their own climate mitigation commitments. Vendor countries, by contrast, could put the funds they raise toward adapting to climate change. With 90% of the world's economy is covered by the net zero targets and emissions cuts far off track across the world, carbon markets have sizable potential. Yet they are also controversial. A lack of standardization and enforcement means they may simply displace rather than remove emissions, create opportunities for corruption, and enable greenwashing. So, in short, if you want to put it in another way, so let's say if there is a organization in developed country. Let's take example of Europe, and they want to, let's say, reduce their emissions, but they are not able to do so entirely. They will purchase the carbon credit, means they will pay to someone, let's say in developing countries, for example, organization in India, which is saving, that, let's say, carbon emission, and that's how the money will go to them. While the organization in India will receive the fund to, let's say, upgrade their technology to reduce their emissions, and that's how this works. But without transparency, without a proper mechanism to oversee all these things, so that's create a lot of opportunity, maybe for corruption or greenwashing. Yeah. High quality carbon market will require a centralized world marketplace and monitorable deals between individual countries. Parties therefore need to agree how carbon credits are defined, how projects can be approved and reviewed, what information about deals can be kept confidential, and what needs to be transparent. So it's a very difficult thing for all the countries to agree on these issues, because negotiations are really tough. And even how I view it is, if we just visualize our family, okay, let's say we have member of five, six, or four, whatever number of people that we have in our family. Just imagine we want to take one important decision. How different people have different opinions, though we are all from same family. We all share, maybe I would say 80% of our life is shared in terms of the culture, in terms of the food, in terms of the habits that we all, but still it's very difficult to have the consensus. And here we are talking about all the world, all the 190 plus countries. So negotiation is a tough thing to do. At a meeting in Baku in October, the UN body responsible for carbon market creation adopted standard for carbon credit project creation and assessment, and for greenhouse gas removal activities. This must be negotiated and potentially agreed at COP29. So this is one very important thing. Pushing for new NDCs. So a new round of NDC, that is national determined contributions, is due by February 2025, early next year. And so this is one thing. So how we can reduce, or how we can demonstrate the commitment to, let's say, limit 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's very ambitious, we must say, because last year was the hottest year in the uh, in record, and this year also it is proving to be so in this scenario. And many researchers are saying that we are already past 1.3 degrees. So that's little bit very ambitious thing. Yeah, so as countries heavily reliant on fossil fuel use, this is likely to be a challenge. That is particularly the case for Azerbaijan, which backtracked on climate ambition with its last NDC revision and has recently been rated critically insufficient in its climate action by Climate Action Tracker. While the revision of NDC is seen as the responsibility of COP30 President Brazil, COP29 play an important role in creating momentum. So, yeah, loss and damage at scale. So, I'll just skip this part for now. Adaptation steps out of mitigation shadow. As climate impact escalate, adaptation to their effort has been climbing slowly up the multilateral agenda. One of the reasons for the lack of limelight on adaptation has been the absence of concrete goal, like the often cited 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature threshold target. A global goal for adaptation is mandated under the Paris Agreement, but 8 years of negotiations delivered little progress on defining what they should be. At COP28, last year, countries finally committed to an overarching framework for the goal, but the framework lacks specific quantifiable target by which progress can be measured, and finance and technology transfer are not considered within it, meaning it is not clear how adaptation action can be implemented. So, generally speaking, in our organizations or in academia, also we see that theory, a very good theory is nothing unless and until we have the resources, we have the means to implement that. So proper implementation is often more important for the success of any activity for that matter. So I think it is also same for uh, these agreements or these framework conventions as well. Negotiators are working to enhance the skeletal framework by 2025, and discussions will continue at COP29. But vulnerable countries' adaptation needs cannot wait, and they are keen to see the goals fully operationalized as soon as possible. Yeah, so adaptation finance is core to the remit of the NCQP. It is not contested in a way loss and damages, but it will still be challenging for negotiators to agree finance that addresses the scale of need. Around $360 billion is thought to be the needed annually for adaptation compared to about $18 billion that was available in 2019. So huge difference. So for fossil fuel producer nations such as Azerbaijan, adaptation also offers a safe space away from the demands of mitigation, which means phasing out fossil fuels. Azerbaijan and its Trioca partners may, for this reason, be keen to put adaptation funding center stage. There was one more mention of this because these Trioca partners, all these three countries, are, I guess, the fourth largest fossil fuel producing entity if we rank it across the world. So, keeping focus on fossil fuels. Yeah, so COP28 last year agreement was vastly insufficient to meet the climate challenge. At COP29, avoiding backsliding on existing commitment will be vital and progress on new measures will be difficult to achieve. So this is what the author has to say. Parties must enable money to do the talking and agree a solid, wide-ranging and sufficient NCQG on climate finance. They must also avoid common COP distractions, such as announcing new initiatives under the presidency action agenda, and keep the heart of the matter: how to quickly, efficiently, and fairly phase out fossil fuel use. Diligent attention must be paid to the Paris Agreement structures, goals, and requirements. It is this that will best serve the needs of a warming and increasing conflicted world. So, yeah, so this was the article. So I'll also share this in this chat. Uh, yeah, just a minute. Yeah, apart from that, if you want to get more information, so I would definitely recommend directly go to UNFCCC, and where you can see the COP29. all the details, all the documents, what we have for this conference. You will see all the details. Let's say documents and decision. If you click there, all session documents are there.
Hi, actually, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, good. No, please.
Is there a climate finance plan presented anywhere for how will this finance be used and in what is exactly their mitigation and adaptation plan which they're talking about? Because they're only using the terms and there is no mention of actionable steps
Correct,
yet.
correct, correct. Yeah, so that is what I feel that we will get after this COP. So how exactly we are going to do it, and it's important that all countries agree to it. Instead of countries, we will say parties. All parties agree to it, and let's say they'll stick to it. Otherwise, just announcing a plan is not enough, right? And if you just go to this document, you will see a lot of draft negotiation text. If you see, okay. So, as per my best understanding, so during this, let's say 10 days, 12 days, so what happened, uh, draft negotiation texts are getting updated every day as per the negotiations are happening, as per the discussions. Each country represent their concerns, and as per that, the draft negotiation text is updated every day. So, if you see, yesterday it was 15 November. Today is 16 November. So every day you will see a draft negotiation text updated over here. We will just see about climate finance. Let me know if you can see it on the screen. We will just quickly see if we can spot it there. So generally this is something happens. So what I would say, a lot of information is there. Pre-session document. We'll just read this. Okay. Doubling adaptation finance. So what are the plans? Somehow it is not download. Let me check. Can you see on the screen, right? I hope it's readable.
Yeah.
Doubling the collective provision of climate finance for adaptation to developing countries parties from 2019 levels by 2025.
Hello, Dhananjay.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah,
Hi, sir.
uh, I have a doubt on this climate finance. Actually, what is the meaning of that? Is it the finance provided to the organizations which already avail the loan because of they applied some fund for the protecting the climate, then they will get a reduced rate, or it is purely for implementing for new project on the climate protection. What is the actual meaning of that?
Mm. So, what I could see, while reading about this topic, so it encompasses both or all the three parts, I would say. So, let's say, as you said, so some organization, let's say, doing some good for the environment, and we are providing them finance to maybe enhance their effectiveness, and which at the same time the, let's say, organization in developed country can purchase the carbon credit for them. So this is one. Second is maybe loss and damage. So let's say because of climate change, there is some loss to the party, and we are paying for, let's say, for supporting those people in terms of, let's say, livelihoods or the health. Uh, so this is
Yeah.
second. The third is the new technologies, and which I feel which is most important. The third part, which is, let's say, currently we have the, let's say, patents and, let's say, copyrights are there for new technologies,
Yeah.
which, let's say, develop. For example, let's say one organization from developed country has developed that. Of course, they should get the credit, but at the same time, it should not be used, let's say, as a patented for only themselves to earn more profit. Instead of that, if they could share it with others, so that developing countries can also get the benefit of that.
Yes.
Otherwise, what developing countries or least developed countries may lack is the resources to develop such kind of technology, or they will require some time, and we don't have that much time in today's climate change scenario.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
All these three things what I could see in the article that we read. So I think it encompasses all the three.
All the three aspects. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
And Dhananjay, India government is also like they have one a national adaptation fund on climate change, and
Mhm.
in that initiative, like government finance to like adaptation of project, some of the like forestry or water resource project they are funding, like green bonds also is a part of that, and
Right,
some of the renewable energy investment also they are funding in this climate finance.
right.
Yeah, so like some of the country they have already like they have the global green bond, and some of the like country they have green loans, green bond they are providing now. But
Mhm.
yeah, the regulation and rules are different from countries to countries.
Right, right. Agree. And yeah, and when we talk about climate finance, so there are two ways how that can be done. So first is, let's say, with government intervention. So
Right.
let's say government is
Yeah.
giving some subsidy, or they are giving some benefit to one sector. For example, renewables, or we take the example specific as solar EV. So that can be done.
Mhm.
Or the second way is the private organizations, private entities which are coming into picture. So we are providing them some support, or maybe through carbon trading. Uh, so that also one of the mechanism is government is not putting money, but the private entities which are trading it. So this is
Yeah,
also.
like you can say one example like public private partnership they are providing like some of like if you are going to establish a solar project, then they will subsidize something for you as per the it is coming under the like green energy sector. So yeah, some part of the concession is from the government and some of the concession is from private entities like that.
Right, right. Yes.
So I had a very quick, different kind of a question.
Mhm.
So, we are all focusing on energy transition and it contributes 75% to the problem of climate change.
Mhm.
But are we looking at the limitations of this energy transition? Because as it was a part of my research paper, that uh, that solar panels don't have any regulations to be recycled, and in next uh, few years there'll be an accumulation of uh, a lot of solar panels, and
Correct.
they don't come under any of the waste regulations that we have, and we don't and it's not profitable also to recycle them. So we are looking at the energy transition, but we are not looking at the limitations that we have. Also, the efficiency is very like it's getting increased, but it's actually low. So as innovation is coming, and we are putting the current renewable energy projects that we have like so much that we are not thinking that if new innovation will come, what will we do with the current infrastructure that we have. So
No,
are we
no, your understanding is wrong. Currently, we have a law in the e-waste management. Solar is also included to be mandated uh, to dis to report solar modules, and also it has to be recycled. And slowly, India is also establishing the solar recycling plant, and many companies are coming forward to take back the solar panel which has been supplied, and also it will be recycled, or it's a buyback option also they are considering. As yeah, you rightly said that it is a major issue. There are technology advancement. One of the European companies have told that 78% of the solar, whatever the panel is now is there, currently is there, that can be recycled. Only 28 can be landfilled or something like that. But they are now working it to 98%. Within 3 years, they will reach 98% for recycling for a solar, and with a less energy consumption. And for your kind product, first solar is also doing the full circularity of the solar.
Yeah, thanks a lot for adding that. And
yeah.
second thing, which I can say is, but your concern is right. So whenever we are also exploring, let's say, new renewable energy sources, our focus should be on circular economy. And one of the principle of circular economy, it's not about just waste management. So it's about thinking, going into design phase and designing in such a way that we should not let's say have any waste in the process afterwards. So what I read recently was about India's exploration into circular economy as well. Niti Ayog, which is one of the top think tank for the government, so there are a couple of reports on circular economy, how do we explore that. But yeah, of course, for renewables, it, it it is also important to explore that. And second thing is definitely, which I agree with you, Gurnur, which is just procuring the energy is not uh, sufficient. Just technological solution is not sufficient, because anyway technology can be changed in a very short duration of time as well. But what is more concerning thing is, let's say, the softer aspects, the cultural aspects of energy consumption or the waste production. If that is not tackled or not controlled, it's very difficult, because most of these climate problems are not just technological problems. So it's about behavioral problem as well.
Yeah, one thing that we need to understand is about the energy and electricity. These are completely different. When we
Hmm.
talk on solar, it is only electricity, not
Correct,
energy.
correct. Unless it is solar thermal. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. There was some interesting study in the solar thermal. So some researchers are also exploring the opportunity to capture the solar energy, store the heat energy, and use it directly. But as of now, the solar thermal has very less efficiency compared to the solar PV, and that's why we only know about solar PV. But hopefully, solar thermal has also a huge potential if we see to it for heating or cooling applications. So solar thermal can be one of the option which will have, let's say, a lesser energy consumption, but that can support us. But yeah,
And
so
this is,
new
yeah,
technology.
and this is also the topic of this COP29, how we can store energy in different way, like how we can effectively utilize it.
Mhm. Yeah. One last question before we end the session. I would like to know the opinion of all of you. So, what do you think is, let's say, importance of finance in climate action? How do you view the finance in climate action for developing countries or for developed countries? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, it should be controlled by government regulating authorities so that some transparency is there. Like every companies are coming with greenwashing and all are showing that we are doing a lot of things, but actually it is not happening on the ground. So yeah, some of the regulatory authority must be there to control it, and yeah, like some monetary or some malus that this if they are not like they are not fulfilling the target, they must have the consequences like that.
Mhm. Yeah, so what I got from you is, let's say, it should be quantifiable, it should be measurable or trackable. We could track
Yeah.
it, we could spot who is working. Yeah,
Yes,
transparency.
like you can see in carbon trading, there is multiple like companies are now and they are trading, and
Mm,
there may be like you can see many things are happen like uh, some of the companies they are showing something and they are not doing at the ground level. So yeah, transparency is very important.
agree. What else? For me, if let's say if I am asked this question, so one thing what I would think about it is finance and climate action. So for everything whatever we do, so finance is of course is the energy. Uh, what drives the initiative or what drives the change, and making finance available for the developing countries or the less developed countries. So that's very important because uh, I don't know where I read it, but let's say 3 4 years back I was reading about one thing. So let's say there was one nation from Africa which is very we can say least developed, and where uh, they they get some loan, let's say, from some funding agency, and they couldn't repay the loan, and they have to buy basic necessities also, like water, which is very, I would say, basic human needs. So such kind of things also happen in a case of loans, and so that should not happen. So a support should be given for all these countries and people, of course. That should be the goal. And second, as we talk about finance or technology transfer, so one example that comes to my mind is the invention of safety belts in car, which was that company? I forgot the name, but when they
Volvo.
invented this, Volvo, right? Yes. Thanks, Ashish. So Volvo invented the safety belt in the cars to avoid the loss of life in case of accident, and they thought that it is not uh, we would say it would be more beneficial for entire mankind if they just let that technology transfer to all other competitors as well. So, in a spirit of collaboration, not competition, they shared this technology freely with all, and in just short span of time, all the vehicles we see that they have a safety belt, and in this way, the finance, that is the energy to do these kind of things, or business or livelihood, or a means of improving the lives of people. So that should be conducted. Financial support and of course technological support should be given to the organization. So that should be on top
But
priority.
Dhananjay, like there is a research also because of that safety belt, more accidents are happening.
Oh, is it so?
Yeah, because with the confidence of the drivers, they are driving rash driving. They thought it is an preventable, but the research says it more accident has happened due to the safety belt.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah,
often take
yeah,
uh, life,
it's a different
we don't
perspective.
take life that seriously, right?
Yeah,
So actually, what should happen? So as technologies developed, as we could achieve a lot of work in short period of time because of technology or because of new ways of travel, people should be more relaxed. But the converse thing that we can see, right? So we don't have enough time nowadays. Earlier life was little bit, I would say, at peace or slow life, but somehow it's counterintuitive. That's an interesting article.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So any other
But
insight you
Dhananjay,
will share?
I'm not able to understand like why the developing country are like encouraging like in support like you can say saying that India and China will more contribute in this climate finance. They are taking all advantages from last 100 years, and now they are like coming to this developing country like India and China. So yeah, some politics may be going on this.
Yeah, yeah, of course. There is a lot of politics happening across the tables as well. So one of the big issues, because what I see, what is valid for the personal interaction, that is same thing also valid across the nations as well. So let's say uh, if we ask, let's say everyone has to pay, let's say 2 lakhs or 5 lakh rupees for some project, we will definitely say that no, we would like to pay less. People always have a tendency to save their part of money. So it's really a challenge. How do we convince or have unanimity? How every developed country should contribute to the fund, and that's what the failure
Yeah,
of the previous COPs had been, right? So we said that Paris Agreement was wonderful. We got clear goal. We got clear, let's say 17 SDGs as well. We got everything sorted. All the countries are also ratified it. They became a part of it. But the problem was the developing countries couldn't contribute the money because of various reasons, and that was
mhm,
the failure. So how do we and
yeah,
this for the same reason this year's COP would be very important because it will guide how do we exactly do it. So at least we will get to know whether we can do it or not.
yeah. Like the developed country are thinking India, China as a like dumping yard. Like they are whenever they want, they just put their waste here, and we are also purchasing from them the waste, and we are gathering here in our countries. Like they have all the rules, regulation of transboundary, blah blah, everything, every act, but they are using the developing country, and they are creating like more like you can say just suppress the matter in broad level.
Of course. And anyway, so India is doing quite well, we can say. So defending our position, and I don't really uh, depend on, or I would say, I don't really rely on the Western, uh, maybe organizations or nations or maybe their research. We should always be very about what they are saying, what is their motive, and that's why I always say that we should directly go and take the first hand data, because every person has their own preconceived notions, their own biases, and that's why it's always distorted. So what developed countries have the point. So I don't think we should learn sustainability from Western organizations or their
Yeah.
any entity. So that is what my personal opinion is. We have always been sustainable. Uh, you pick any Indian person who is living in village, so that person's life is 100 times more sustainable, more eco-friendly than any person in Europe or America. But that's not
Yeah.
the point of debate. But the one thing is, definitely we should always be checking from where it is coming and whether it is applicable to us or not. And unfortunately, we Indians, most of the Indians have the tendency, if it is coming from west, if it is coming from foreign, then it is always good. That's not the case.
Yeah, right.
But unfortunately, that is the perception that we have because of education or colonization or lack of national uh, awareness, what we can say. Yeah, anything else? Yeah, so
Actually, I just thought that India is the most vulnerable to the climate change. That may be one of the reason we should take
mm,
if we want to take some advantage of this rising temperature, then we should take from our pocket. That may be their attitude. The one of the reason for blaming India and China. We are the most vulnerable compared to other countries.
mm.
And they vulnerable us, developed country.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing, yeah, so we are vulnerable, or but still in developed countries also there is a lot of floods are happening, or a lot of cyclones are there. So they are also equally vulnerable. So maybe we are little bit ahead or little bit more susceptible. But yeah, the
Yeah,
danger is.
I just pointed out, actually, we discussed this some on the previous meeting. There was a map. I pointed out about that map. In that map, India is the most in red situation. That means that we are more vulnerable compared to other countries. So I think, but if we consider the per capita, then India is doing better.
Mhm.
Yeah, per person rate. നോക്കാം.
Right. Yes, perfect, perfect. I'll also read one comment as well from Indu. Transparency is important. There should be a balanced distribution support for all states in our country, duly monitored by a central body. All energy sources, exploration, research must be implemented. Yes, agree, definitely. Yeah, and before ending this session, I will also request if anybody would like to share your view, your voice, who haven't shared yet. And while you are sharing, I am also presenting on screen. So there's also one resource you can go to it for getting more details about previous COPs, what happened in previous COPs, and what is the status in this COP as well. So this is one of the resources. Okay, just a minute. I'll open it again. Just a minute. Previous COP details. Yeah. So this is the link. I'll post it in the group as well. So yeah, you can review this as well. All right. So this is it from me. If anybody would like to share any point, anything, please you can.
Can I you suggest one topic because I had difficulty in finding a lot about carbon credits. So if you
Mhm.
can take a session wherein how carbon credits are purchased or where they, matlab what are the best places to invest in carbon credit schemes? What are the mechanisms that consider carbon credits? Something like that. If you
Mhm.
can give a session on it. Thank you.
Sure, 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 sure. All right, all right. So should we keep it next Saturday?
I'm happy to have it on my side because that's good. Acha, I wanted to ask, is carbon credits even yeah, applicable these days?
Yeah, it's applicable. because few of the companies from India also they are working on the carbon credits. And what we can do, one thing we can do is I'll also check with few of the experts or the founders of this organization if they want to come next Saturday and they want to brief us why behind this carbon credit and how it is happening. And request you all also if you know any person, good competent person who can and who want to share this knowledge, so we can invite him or her.
Yes, I also have the same opinion. We should have some discussion on carbon credit. I think the one of the major step taken by this COP29 is some discussion or some concerns on the carbon credit. So
Right.
the countries will take advantage of this. So we should know about the intricacies of carbon credit and the trading on things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great suggestion. So let's lock it for 23rd. Let's discuss carbon credit. Okay. Meanwhile, in the week, we all can research about carbon credit, what is happening in the COP29, and I'll also see to it that we should have one expert. Let's see.
Yeah, in India, like EKI is working on this more extensively. EKI
Great.
Energy Private Limited.
Okay, great. So let's connect. I'll also check if they can join. All right. So thank you everyone for your valuable time. Have a great weekend, and let's connect next Saturday then. Thanks.
Thank you,
All right.
Dhananjay.
Thank
Bye
you
bye.
all. Great weekend. Bye. Bye.